Okay, so Capricorn and Cancer, as we're kind of moving through this Six of Swords energy, moving into this new time, following each of us into our alignment, what can Vesta, the goddess Vesta, offer as an archetypal energy in relation to your archetypal energy, Capricorn, and then Apollo for you, Cancer, as you're both associated with these, your archetypes associated with these archetypes. And then where might you be holding pain? Where might you be holding hope? And what can the future generations inspire in you and offer back to you? This is the final in a series of making up a long maxi reading for you two for this equinox. And since I'm starting again, I don't have the candles lit. And yeah, so as we are, you know, one way people are phrasing this as we're kind of leveling up, right? How do we institute kindness as a routine, as a procedure in our lives, in the way that, how do we, you know, go toward the celebratory, the kindly in how we care for ourselves, speak to ourselves, carry ourselves, inhabit our bodies, inhabit our days, inhabit our homes, inhabit our relationships. Okay, and Vesta is the goddess of the hearth. You know, in Rome, only her priestesses were allowed to go into the temple except for during her festival. And during the festival, the matrons, you know, or the feminine or feminized heads of the households of the city would walk barefoot, the matrons would walk barefoot through the city and then into the temple for their offerings toward Vesta. You know, homemaking is a serious art here on our earth. Whether it's, you know, making yourself at home in your body, in your soul's true dignity, and then outwardly, you know, in each relationship and procedure and institution that we create. How do we create these as containers for more contemplation, containers for more joy? Vesta. It is the jolly Knight of Wands. So it's passionate in this innocent way. It's happy. It's warm. It's friendly. You know, it's an earthen friendliness toward all creatures, and it's a tending, a tender tending. And then Apollo, via his connection with you, Cancer, offering us as an archetype and you as an archetype at this time. And Apollo, I mean, he brings together, talking about reconciliation and remembrance of how things shape and are shaped expansively rather than in opposition or polarity along a spectrum. Anyway, he's the god of poetry, he's the god of music, he's the god of medicine, he falls in love with men and women. I'm very interested right now in that combination of medicine and these, you know, music and poetry, and it reminds me of this book called Secret History of Dreams by Robert Moss, who talks about who speaks of, people being hired by the court to be the dreamer, like in Spain, and I think it's the 15th about the 15th or 16th century, there was a woman who was a famous dreamer, and she was hired by the court to help make political decisions, through her dreams, decisions about the progress of the nation. Okay, imagine that now if we had dreamers and visionaries helping us to make such choices. And this is resistance. I've been reading this card, the four of the Four of Pentacles, as this almost sweet, especially in this deck, resistance. And that resistance, the very resistance, sometimes we think of resistance as a bad thing, like you're resisting change, or you're just resistant. But, as a neutral energy, as this energy here, resistance is almost like the friction that allows anything to truly come into being in a physical sense on our earth. Okay. So this joyful warmth and this sweet resistance. And then where you may be feeling pain at this time, my dears, I'll use one of my favorite decks for that, just to make it gentler, where you may be feeling pain. It's the Three of Wands. It's this anticipation of change. I've been reading this card, this person is not clearly gendered. This rainbow coming in. This anticipation of a world in which we can all be free, in which we can all be in our soul's true soft dignity. And there may be pain around the anticipation. I've gotten that in a couple of readings. And then the Page of Wands reversed in your hope. So within this anticipation, sometimes we get used to this sense of lack, this sense of wistfulness, this sense of hope, as if it'll never end, it'll never come into being, the thing you're hoping and praying for. And sometimes maybe it's actually here. It's actually here. It's actually here. Look, a repeat from Vesta. So the goddess energy, and then within your own hope. And the fact is, when it's reversed, I've been reading them as it may come into being more easily than you may have ever anticipated, and may indeed, in many senses, if you look and fall into the habits and procedures of kindness, it may in fact already be here. And it's just a matter of tending and nurturing it. What do the children, what do the descendants offer back to us? The Wheel of Fortune, the Eight of Cups, the Nine of Wands. So a contemplation, there's an ease in the way that the contemplations of the future relate to us in this time now, as the Wheel of Fortune moves, and as we walk away from some old ways of containing our feelings, our contemplations, our emotions, our true natures, when they've been restricted, or these vessels no longer serve, and we are moving away. Okay, and I'm going to draw one little set of a story card for each of you. Okay, so things that may happen in the months of this season that we're entering into now. Cancer, your first card is the Knight of Swords, so that relates to that's again a repeat of what we got for the water trine. And then, so the energy really supports you in your clarity of thinking, whatever it is that you've been maybe having new sort of revelations about within your life. You are correct in your assessment. And when saying you're correct in your assessment, I urge you to be gentle with yourself as you make whatever changes you need or desire to. And you have an echo here too from the future, this Wheel of Fortune, Capricorn. So there's change happening for both of you. There's clarity, and there's clarity which of sort of a free will, human imagination nature, and then there's also the fact that we live on this planet amongst other moving planets and stars, and things change, and and I urge you to be kind and gentle with yourself as you ride the changes, with a clarity, each of you, together as you're across the wheel from each other, you support each other and reflect each other. Okay, and then you have, now this really looks like, this is the one of clouds, and I've not been, because I really think we don't need to stick to any strict correspondences or any overly familiar correspondences as we move into these new times. We must allow ourselves to, to not stay with those grooves of habit where, when I was talking earlier in the previous video or two ago, my habit of complaining as a way to connect. And last night, even though in the fullness of the moon I was feeling very emotional, I chose to inscribe a habit of celebration as a way to connect. Okay, so, and I've been talking a lot about this time as being Six of Swords-y, moving. And this is like, almost like the god Apollo, moving it, helping us move forward into this new time. So you are very powerful. You are more powerful than you know as part of this time. And you got Cancer